Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Kitchen talk. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Kitchen talk. Let's talk. Conversations that cool. Let's talk. What you wanna talk about? Let's talk. What you wanna talk about?
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Auntie V, what's up?
Nothing. How are you?
Good. You know what time it is when we see you on here.
It's time to be
Okay.
prepared.
Oh,
It is
Lord.
definitely that time. It is that
Homework time.
time.
Friends, they got some stuff for you this year, sugar.
I already know. And I got to get on it early.
Early.
Yeah.
Listen, this is Kitchen Talk CTC.
Conversations that cook.
That is what they do. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't even put Auntie V whole name in nothing anymore. Auntie V coming. Auntie V is coming, and we gonna talk taxes. Listen, friends. Auntie
Not
V sent
fast.
me a
Already.
whole list of stuff she need to talk about and,
Jesus.
and put us up on game on. So we gonna just dive right
Let's
in, like
go.
right
Let's go.
in.
I'm going to get my notes.
Right.
I'm going to get my pen and my pencil. I'm ready.
It is so much. Thank you, Auntie V, for showing up. This is Valencia Cain. She is the owner and founder of Jack and Dot Accounting, Tax and Accounting, in Jacksonville, Florida. She is she is my Auntie V, but not a blood Auntie V, just like chosen family. And that's almost like some of the best family because you got to choose them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes, chosen family. This is she been riding.
Giving us some good info
Yes,
every year.
yes,
Every
yes,
year.
yes. If
Sometimes
you
twice a
listen,
year.
right. If you listen, you gonna be on point. If you don't listen, oh well, ain't nothing we
That's
can do
on
about
you.
that.
That's on you.
Ain't nothing we could do about that. So Auntie V, how you doing?
I am great. How are you guys doing?
Good, good,
Working on
good,
greater.
good. So let's just dive right in. So the first thing that Auntie V wanted to talk about is death and taxes, including the death of a newly born child.
Mm, okay.
Very interesting. This is something that I didn't know, that you still had to file taxes after somebody passed. I didn't know that. Well, I learned it, but
Auntie V put us on that before.
yeah.
Yep.
And I just think so many people are leaving the money on the table. I am big for not leaving the money on the table. So when someone passes, a loved one, a family friend, a parent, whomever, you should, not mandatory, but you should file the final tax return. Because if there's a refund due, the person that files it is entitled to the refund. It comes in care of, the check goes to that person, they get to spend the money however they want to. Since COVID, and so many people that I've spoken to never filed the final tax return. I have had additional clients that pass and nobody ever followed through. So that money is left on the table, especially because those people always receive a refund, and some of them very large refunds. That means the government is getting to keep that money because you're not, the family or whoever is not doing anything about it. What happens is that you have to have all the same documents that that person would file normally as if they were alive in order to file. And a lot of people find it, I don't want to look for that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, you really should because it could benefit you and it can make sure that no one else tries to use that personal information because you absolutely closed it out.
Mm-hmm.
So you do want to kind of do that. Now let's talk about the newborn child. Unfortunately, people have babies that passes away within hours and minutes after birth. If a child is born, live a minute, they are entitled to a social security number. You have to name them and you have to do all of that. And when you get to name that child, you also get to apply for that social security number and you get to file one tax year with that child on it and you get the earned income credit and all that comes with it.
Oh, wow.
Not entitled to child tax credit because the child didn't live long enough, but you are entitled to earned income credit, and that is where the biggest amount of your refund comes from. So one child could net you $3,500, and
I
then
gotta cut you off for a second, Auntie V.
go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. What if it's a stillborn?
Now that's different because the stillborn came deceased. The
Okay.
other children were born and may have lived a minute. So that's the only difference. Now stillborn cannot be claimed because they won't be entitled to a social security number. And anybody who lives at least a minute is entitled to that number. And you do
So,
have to have the number
And
in order to file.
is there a expiration date on that? So let's say mom and dad, it was a hard time for them. They grieved. Maybe that year passed by, and then they say, okay, you know what? We can file taxes at this point. Can they still do that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
and then is there a limit or time frame or time limit on the last tax return? Like if you didn't
Three
do it the
years.
year that they passed, can
3
you still
years.
go back and do it?
Yes, up to 3 years.
Up to 3
3
years.
years. Wow.
Yeah, so they got time to grab it back together and now let's not leave the money on the table. You know, I'm big for not leaving the money on the table.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
let's go back and get the money off the table.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because this is one of those years where you're gonna have a lot of changes, but we also have to think about that. I've been doing this a few years with you, so every year we talk about 2025, and I keep saying we are in some tax off into 2025. I've said that repeatedly year after year. Coming up year is when you're gonna see a lot of those things go into effect and gonna hit you the hardest.
Mm.
So some things are going to be final right now. Some things they're still gonna make changes on. We're gonna talk about a lot of those, but you still have to do the research to make sure those things have not changed, or if it changed, how did it change? You still need to be, you're gonna be affected by it one way or the other.
Mm. Lord, I'm not looking forward to that.
You just got to
I
be
don't even,
ready. You just
I
got to
know
be
I don't
ready.
even like taxes anyway. I need to hurry up and give me some dependents or something.
I mean,
You
they
just got to
cracking
get
down on
ready.
them,
That's all.
so I mean, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? Because the dependents is one of those things that they're going to hit the hardest because next year they're going to audit more taxes than they have ever audited before.
Oh
Now
wow.
it will not be the common man. It will not be us. It's going to be businesses.
Mm.
So there have been a legislation act that, hey, I need to lay off the common person. I need you to go after the people that have the money and
Mhm.
is doing the most wrong. That is the business. That
Mm.
and they agreed, and then a tax form they gave us basically your corporations are going to get hit hard, your Schedule C's are going to get hit hard. They're going to have to be able to prove a million things that they never had to prove before, and we are no longer allowed to take your word that you paid for. You gotta now show us some proof.
What you mean that you
Wow.
paid for something,
Like you got a deduction that you want to put on a tax return.
right?
We got to know some validity to whether that's true or not. Because
So
now
what
we are
can they
equally
pull that
liable.
from your bank statements?
Anything you want to show.
Okay,
Bank statement still considered a legal document.
right.
So A lot of people, I wouldn't say everything, but I will say if there's a large number,
Mm-hmm.
you should want to see some proof on that large number. So I'm writing off a $20,000 charity to the church. I want to see that church statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to see that. So the larger the number get, the more proof you want to see. Now there is still going to be times where you want to just, hey, I did 500 here, 300 here. Hey, I'm not going to stress you as hard on that. But the larger your number gets, the harder I'm gonna have to stress you because I'm now going to be equally as liable for your not telling the truth.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So we got to now kind of cover our own kidneys when before we were accustomed to trusting our customers because they were trustworthy. It's not a lot of trustworthy, and the government don't care about us trusting anybody anymore. They're
Wow.
telling us, can you prove this? You cannot get a call from the IRS, but I can. And they'll call me and say, hey, I'm an auditor and I'm looking over these rate taxes. What can you send me immediately to prove what you have on that tax return? And it has
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. And luckily, there was enough proof to protect me and the person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
yes, it's a lot of that going on this year for next year. So, we got to be real diligent on what we is putting on the tax return.
Woo. All right. So the next thing was the standard deduction.
The standard deductions increase, which should be beneficial to the taxpayer. The higher the standard deduction goes, that means that most people cannot itemize because the standard deduction continues to increase, but the standard deduction also reduces your AGI, which makes you, if you owe, you're owed less.
Mm.
So in 20, well, this year we're in, what was our standard deduction? It was, and it went up this year. So every year they're just gonna, they're going up drastically. I mean, they're going up by big numbers. Another thing surrounding that is a big thing is that your tax rate, which means that the amount of taxes that you should be paying out of your check, that income bracket increased, but so the rate. So the largest tax bracket, right, the largest tax rate right now is 37%. We've never seen tax brackets this high. So for example, if you make 578,000 and above, you're going to be taxed at 37%.
Oh wow.
Really has never happened. Let's go to the common salary. Let's say 44,000 to 95,000. You're actually now taxed at 22%. That's
Good
the high.
gracious.
That's
That's what they taking out off the top off rip.
20. That's what they're supposed to be taking off. So if your employer is not following this rule and rate, then you, the taxpayer, is going to owe the government a whole lot of money. So that's why everybody needs to look at their box two or the complete year-to-date federal withholding to see what they're paying. Even if you go down, let's go to 10% bracket. If you're making a single person making $11,000, you're still paying taxes at 10% on 11,000. They can't afford to buy bubble gum after that because
That's a
the
lot.
tax rate got the rest of it. If you're a married filing joint couple and you're making at least 22,000, you're taxed at 10%. That's two people on 22,000 and paying 10% taxes. They still hurt. On 12%, it's 11,000 to 44,000. That's still no money, but you're paying a bulk of it in taxes. And if you don't pay it out of the W 2 money, you're going to pay it when you file the taxes. And that's why so many people owe large amounts of money because the tax rate changed from our former president and we're stuck to them to 2025. Now, then we're going back to our old ways when the tax rate was lower.
Wow.
So we got to fight through it now to get to it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Ooh, that's
that.
We gotta wait till 26 for the change to take place.
We got to really wait one more year.
Got you.
So our calendar year 2025. Now, friends, that's a good question. So this has been my fight with every class I've been in. You tell us 2025.
Mm-hmm.
In calendar year 2025, we're actually in tax year 2024 because they are a year off,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Right.
So
Oh,
if you're telling us 2025, is everything going to change in tax year 2024? Because
24.
we're in calendar year 2025, and
Yeah.
that's what nobody can give me a clear answer on.
mm-hmm.
Because all of books and everything simply says 2025, but no one said calendar year or tax year. So we're waiting it out to see which one it is. I'm gonna hope it's calendar year.
Because that is true. We file our taxes in the fall in the new year
Right, for the previous year.
for the previous
That's
year.
right. So we're saying, so I'm actually saying next year, your 2024 is going to be your 2025 rule. And it's showing up that a lot of them is showing up next year.
Mm.
So after that, we're hoping that we can go back to our old way the following year, which is going to be a big thing for everybody. It's going to be big for the IRS because all the new hires were trained on this new stuff. They're going to have to untrain them on the new and give them the old that everybody else know that we used to have.
Wow.
So it's going to be big. It's going to be big on a lot of that. IRS is trying to get very transparent on everything. They're trying to open up a lot of windows that the taxpayer get to see more, know more, and I see that happening very drastically on a lot of cases with the ID account. The Social Security and unemployment is on the same username and password as that, so you don't have to have all these multiple username and passwords anymore. You got one username and password, hit three people. Social Security, IRS, and unemployment is hit by the same thing.
Ah,
So they are making it transparent that you don't have to know all of that, but you can log into any one of those with the same username and password and see everything about your life you want to see. Yeah. So that's coming to be very big.
I was
French,
saying
you muted.
that's
Oh,
yeah, that's interesting. On all platforms, you'll be able to
Oh,
see everything.
yes. Yes.
wow. Eh,
Especially those people who have the ID account with IRS. You can look at multiple sides of your life in that ID account. So even though you can look at the transcript side, if you got debt, now you can see the debt side.
okay.
You can put it in the search box, how much debt I got, and it'll pop you. Your name gonna pop up, and all your new information gonna come up for the debt, so you can see all your sides now. And
That's current because I did that account. I haven't been on there in a
I
while.
haven't been on there either.
I need to go back and check it out. But that's interesting.
yeah, so that's giving you a lot of information with that.
And for that irs.gov account, that's the same one with the face recognition. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes. So that
Oh, they
happens.
got face recognition now?
Yeah, you have to do your ID and do a selfie. So what that was is that there was so much identity theft and so many people taking on people's identity and filing false taxes and filing unemployment claims. Now all they have to do is tell you to send me your ID. If it does not match what's on file, now they know who to go after.
Yep.
Ah,
They can get you now because your picture is actually there. And if your driver's license doesn't look like the you, somebody call you. I need to know why this doesn't look like this. Because they think you're frauding again and you're putting somebody else's picture on there. So they will not let it go through
oh, wow.
until you can actually show them you, this ID looks like you, they will not clear it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so that's good for people.
Mm-hmm. Because we do have a lot of somebody just tried to get me last year with a credit card. They sent me this thing, verify your change of address. I was like, this ain't me. I ain't open up no credit card.
They did me with a
Nope.
credit card and for a Toyota credit card and a bank account.
Wow.
But because I have all of those freezers and stuff on, nobody can get it. But they did try it.
Yeah, they definitely will try it.
Yeah,
Especially with these easy offers. that just float around everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm like, please stop sending me these.
Well, your credit is good, so you know they know you
It
could
is not. It
handle
is not.
it.
I mean, it is, but
You
it's
could
all
do
right.
it. You could
But
do
I'm
it.
done. I got a mortgage now. I ain't, I ain't buying too much else, nothing else.
Right. Yeah, that'll stop you. That mortgage will stop you from buying.
Yeah,
Yes,
well, the mortgage actually probably is what's helping them see that you got something. They say,
it
hey, you know
probably
what?
is, but
She
no, mm-mm,
she doing all
Yeah,
right.
that's what make them go after you.
it
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
I'm like, this enough right here. This enough. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's what makes them
Nope.
go after you. The mortgage. Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying not to get no second job, so I ain't adding no more debt.
Yeah.
So, I guess we can move on to the next one, which is new corporation and LLC
Yep.
rules.
So, France, what do you know about this one?
All I know is that this thing has been a hot topic on social media that you need to fill out and put all your information so that you do not get fined or go to jail or both.
Or both?
I was like, whoa. So what kind of information y'all want in this?
So, let's see the easiest way to explain this one. So, this for me, um, I've researched a lot because being in this industry, nobody told us this was coming.
Yeah.
So, this was a shocker. And then after, I'm like friends, after social media started talking about it, then I started looking into it. But no class told me about it. Nobody has said anything. So my concern was, what is it, where it comes from, and what is the purpose of it? What purpose is it going to serve in the end? So I did go to the company website that you have posted right here, and they have a lot of valuable information because this is the company, this is the site where you would do the filing at. Now, what this truly is, it is a government reporting agency, and it is going to force companies to tell the truth, tell who they are, to tell are they still in business. To me, it's a government reporting agency.
Yep.
But there is so many companies that can be exempted from even having to do this. So
Mm.
many categories of companies can actually be exempted from having to do it. So, friends, you're right. If you don't follow the rules and file the form on time, you can pay up to a $500 penalty per day.
Per day.
And they're not playing about the per day.
Per day.
Did
Or
you say
criminal
$500?
per day or criminal proceedings, like he said. So all of that is right.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
called BOI. And BOI is going to be asking you who owns at least 25% of the company, who manages the company. It's a disclosure. You're going to be talking about your company information. Now, those people who have companies, have these EINs and stuff that has been dormant and they never did anything with them, they won't be liable because it has been dormant. There is 23 different companies categories that will be exempt.
Okay.
So the main part of your information is going to come from this website you got here. All of this information, additional information I got it from that site. And it is telling you, like, a bank, a credit union, money service businesses, brokers, dealing securities, insurance companies, all of those people are going to be exempt from doing this BOI form. Now, my biggest question has been, if I had a corporation prior, when do I really have to be responsible to do this? Which is actually 1 year. Now, anybody that files a company in 2024 only have 30 days
Mm.
to file the paperwork. So let's go back a little bit. This is not the responsibility of your tax preparer. It
Mm.
has nothing to do with that tax return.
Wow. Wow.
So you know how Sunbiz in the state of Florida and everybody do their annual renewal?
Yep.
It is
Yep.
similar to that. The
Ah.
So
tax preparer don't do
is it
that
going to
part.
be under that or that's separate?
That is separate
Okay.
because that website is where you have to file that form in order to be compliant.
The problem I have with that is, are they sending that information to all businesses?
No.
Excuse me.
And that's the problem I got. That's what I was saying initially. No one told me, even as an accountant, nobody said this is new and this is coming. I get at least 10 different sources of emails from the Internal Revenue every day. I get sources from Social Security, I get sources from processing banks, I get all of those sources, and not a one person yet have said anything about this.
So how are people to know? And then what? You get a knock on the door saying we arresting you because you
And,
ain't
and that's
filed?
and that's my concern. I have the same concern friends does. How are how are you going to know that you are responsible to do this if nobody is telling you? I was hoping all the companies at least get a letter saying this is the next thing. If it wasn't for the people and the bloggers on social media and different ones, they are tied to your Congress and different ones. They know somebody somewhere else, and
Mm.
that's how they found out about it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the common person, when are they going to tell you? When are they going to tell you what it is? It's really the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is the FinCEN. That's who they really are. The website FinCEN is who's
Mm.
going to be doing it. FinCEN is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and it issued a final rule and the deadline for certain reporting companies to file their initial beneficial ownership information report, which is the BOI report. That's what this is, and you're going to be filing that through FinCEN. But if people don't know, how are they going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's
you if you're gonna when you do your annual report, will you get something to tell you this needs to happen? I'm
right.
not sure. When you go to renew, pay your new corporation fee. But
Right.
but think about this. Every state does not have a corporation renewal. How are those people going to know? Arizona doesn't. Once
Mm.
they do a corporation, they don't have to pay a monthly fee again, a yearly fee like Florida does. So how are you going to be notified that this is important and you need to do it?
Right.
Who's going to tell you about it? That we don't know.
Right.
Wow.
Because if the bloggers and the social media wasn't hip enough for this, we would have never had an idea.
And then you would still be liable.
But you're still liable. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying that if you're your own registered agent on your corporation, you need to get somebody to do it because registered agents can do this stuff for you. Yes. And that's why I
You know,
want to make it plain. This is not a part of your tax return. Do not expect your tax preparer to do it. It is not her responsibility. Just like she do not renew your corporation every year for you, she will not be doing this for you.
so what department is over that?
The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, is over that. That website is they doing it all. There's a phone number on there to call them and ask them your questions. They're doing it all.
Yeah, it's like, do is that trustworthy? Do we know that this is like who has legitimately said that yes, this is the site, these are the people? Because we live in an age now where anybody could put a site together and say, yeah, this is it. You need to go here and you need to pay. Is there a fee associated with it?
Now that I don't know. I did look for the fee part, and nothing I have found to say there is a fee attached to it. I've also pulled the document down that they want you to fill out, and there's no fee attached to that either.
Mm,
So there's no fee that I can see that it's going to cost you something. I haven't seen one. Now, is there one when you get to the last page? I don't know.
Right.
because I try to follow through for myself and make sure. Now you can go out there to that same website and do you can answer the few questions. It'll tell you whether you have to do this or not. So they do have it set where you can actually go put your stuff in, and it'll say because of this you don't have to file this report, or you do have to file. So it does give you this website is giving you all of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like what we said earlier, especially what the IRS and other um, state agencies are doing, which is we're trying to prevent identity theft. It's like, oh, this is so new. Is it really real? Especially since you haven't heard anything official.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing came in the mail. Nothing came via uh, uh, your email to say, hey, yeah, this is an official blank, blank, blank. You need to get this done. I mean, you're a tax preparer and you didn't even know.
Right. And
So,
that's the part that bothered me. So that's what made me do the research. That's what made me call this company to actually see. They were able to answer some questions, but not a lot. I know you can't start doing any official filing until January 1st, 2024, but I do advise people to go out there and call themselves and look and see, do your company have to do this? Are your company exempt from this? They
right,
did give us 23 um, different companies that don't have to do it, like the inactive entities. If you're not doing anything with that corporation, you don't have to do it. But you do want to make sure. You do want to
Mm-hmm.
follow through. You do not want this to creep up on you. You do not want to get that outdated letter with a whole lot of money on it. You do not want to do that. And again, you could ask your preparer to do it, but it's not a part of that tax return. It
you
is
know, the
nowhere in
other
that
thing is there are a
software.
lot of people who have several LLCs, right?
Yeah,
So for each one, they have to, if they are under that, they have to fill out that information. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's correct. Now, let's go back to the term you just used because this keeps talking about LLCs. I just watched a blog with an attorney who said any corporation,
Yeah, good one. C Corp, S Corp.
not just an LLC. Now, because here was my question to that. What makes you an LLC? The name? So if I don't have LLC in my name, am I exempt?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
but
didn't think it was the
it's how
name. I
you
think it was
file.
how you filed it, how
Yeah,
you started
Uh,
it.
okay, you saying how you filed it. If so which filing makes you an LLC?
It's a LLC filing, right? Like when I did mine, I got to choose: am I sole proprietor? Am I this? Am I that? And I chose the LLC, the limited liability one.
Right. So you chose that.
Yeah.
What if I did not choose that? What if I was doing a simple 1120 corporation? Do I have to do this?
Oh.
mm,
So because they're giving this information off as an LLC, but a lot of the bloggers are now saying any corporation.
I wonder if that's with nonprofit organizations as well,
No,
because they're corporations.
not necessarily. They're 990s. They're nonprofit.
Oh, got you. Yeah,
If they are a true nonprofit, they're 990s. They're nonprofit. So
right.
that is a big difference. And then those are the questions that still have to be answered. So I do have questions on the table with this being said to actually try to email me back some additional questions. And these are the kind of questions that I actually had. Now,
Mm.
tomorrow, 8 hours, I'm in another tax forum all day. And hopefully, I can get some more answers to this because this is still open. This is still blanket to me. And like Fran said, this may not sound trustworthy to everybody.
Right.
It's really the law. They've already put it out. Go to
But
irs.gov.
that,
It's the law.
so if IRS put it out, why didn't IRS say, okay, when you do your taxes, whatnot, you need to have this done? It's like, why create another entity? I'm just,
No, but you're right though. You're right. You gotta know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. but somebody has to tell you it needs to be done also.
Correct. Because most people, uh, we know IRS. I don't know new
I don't know who the
corporation.
company is.
New corporation. I don't know these people. So
Right.
now I'm gonna go there and put in my information. I don't know if I could trust that,
Yeah.
Is
especially
it a
again.
census?
Yeah,
Is it a census to know who you are, where you are, what you're doing?
correct.
What is it really? And that's the part we as a people we need to know that. But right now we obligated to something that we don't know a whole lot about and nobody's telling us anything about.
And then
So
who made this into law?
so that ties your hands when you gotta do something and you may not do it because you don't believe it, then you're gonna get this big deal you can't beat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
have
we
a
gotta do
feeling a lot of
something.
people are not gonna do it because they don't know, and there might be people who do know and still don't do it.
Yeah.
And that bill is gonna start to add up very fast. The
Yeah.
question is, what are they gonna do to enforce it?
Now that's a good question.
And
That's
then
now
who?
that is a good question. So like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna tax form again, and I hope that there can be some answers to where this really came from, how the people are going to be notified. I've already emailed this company to try to ask some of those questions to
Mhm.
try to see where we stand and what do I tell the people because I need to know for me. I have a corporation. I don't have an LLC, but I do have a corporation. So where do I stand equally to everybody else?
You might need to come back before the end of the year.
To try to at least talk about this one thing
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
try
yeah,
to give us some heads up on what this really means and what it
yeah.
really is going to do. It's big, it's buzzing all over the place. Everybody's talking about it. Other than the people who should have known when it came down with us, we didn't.
Nope.
Wow.
Social media gave it to us. Um, and that was like it. I mean, and then I started watching the bloggers. I went and researched the site. I called them. I got a few answers there. I called a software company. They had no idea what I was talking about.
Wow.
And they write the manual. So, and how I know it is a part of, I subscribe to something called the tax book. Um, that is an IRS book that comes down and supposed to give you all the updates on the laws and stuff. Yesterday, that dropped and said new. So I haven't had a chance to go see what the tax book says on it because I have to get a new login for that. But as soon as I can do that, this is going to be another conversation right after Christmas to know where we are and what you really got to do with it.
And
Oh
then
wow.
too, what's the when you do your renewal, you have from January to
To
May.
May.
So with this thing, what's the time frame? Is it only January or is it
No,
January to
you
March?
can start reporting in after January 1st. Your reporting begins. If you start a company in 2024, you only have 30 days to do your reporting. So you should get a notification when you do that new corporation setup to tell
Mhm.
you this has to come down. So
Right,
those are only going to be the people that's protected. Now, us who have corporations already in place,
right.
I think it's giving us till January 2025 to
Oh, to
file
put
your
in that.
initial.
Oh, so they give me they that's probably the time to get you notified
Yes,
that you gotta do it.
gonna give you that year. So a reporting company created or registered to do business before January 1st, 2024 will have until January 1st, 2025 to file the initial beneficial ownership information report. So existing companies will have 1 year.
Mm.
Wow.
But you need to know about it now because it's coming. So you want to be
Yeah.
reporting your year. So they have a year to notify us.
Hmm.
So we're hoping that happens in the year. But but right now we haven't been notified, and we should have already been notified because we need to know what to tell people.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's one of the biggest things that is going to happen. So jumping fast forward, your 1099Ks, you know how you were supposed to get the Cash App, Venmo, and all those. They back that off the table again.
So we
Um,
don't have to worry about Cash App and
you don't
all of
have to
that.
worry about any of that because they are putting some new things in place for that. So let's say your Cash App was to give your sister, your best friend, some money, but on that Cash App form, you're going to be responsible for all that as income. Now they're giving us a provision to work around taking those numbers out
Mm,
and only reporting the portion that was for this.
for the business. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why I think they keep pushing because they got to get all of those details worked out. Now, if you are a business owner, your Cash App, Venmo, any of that is in the business name, you are required to claim that as income.
Mm.
You're not exempt. So we're talking about exemptions for personal accounts only,
Mm,
not for business accounts.
Mm-hmm.
It is very important for you to claim all of your income next year. Don't skimp it. Don't try to skimp it. They're going to get you. They've tied into too many entities to know what it really is. And we typically want to claim just enough to get us by. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do it. Claim it all. Whether that's rental income, whether that's that lawn service, whether that's that handyman work, I don't care what it is. You're required to claim it all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in your best interest to follow those rules real tight starting 2024.
Wow.
Friends, what you know about student loans?
You got new student loan info.
listen, I
Friends,
was
what you
hoping
know
that
about these
Biden
student
would have
loans?
took care of that and you'd have no student loans. And I'm not just I can't just say Biden. I was hoping that the lawmakers would have said no student loans. But here we go. What you got for
So,
me?
so you got student loan, but a lot of people had the student loan forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And the great part about that this year is that it is not going to become taxable income to
Oh, good.
you. If they forgave it, it's just forgiven. They
Right.
will not send you a document for that. They are not going to make you claim it as income. None of the above is gone. So that's good. I was expecting them to see you that 1099-C and make you claim it as an income, but they waived all of that. So you don't have to even worry if you were forgiven, you were forgiven. You're 100% forgiven. Now
Nice.
the other category was is really I got a new student loan information, but it's really FAFSA information, not
Oh, okay.
student loans. So your FAFSA has changed a million rules. A lot beneficial to the people. Um, it should allow more people to qualify, more lower income to qualify for the higher bracket of the money.
Mm,
That is going to open up December 31st of this year for them to start applying for the money. The quicker you do it, you're going to be on the top of the totem pole. You're going to get the bulk of what you're supposed to have. Now, here's some of the things. December 31st, 2023 is when it's going to open. So FAFSA will not begin processing until January 2024. Even if you go out and do your thing, I know that's a date the next day, but technically that's when the processing is going to begin. So if submitting, if you have to submit yours by paper, they're not going to touch yours until February 2024. But anybody can go electronic on their computer. It's going to get the first process and the first deal of whatever is available by your institution. Institutions will be receiving student information in January. So things that they're going to see differently that they do not see now. One of the things is that you're going to see when you submit your FAFSA online, you're going to get the completed version of. You're going to get a confirmation page telling you it's completed, which is something you hardly get with financial aid. And then you're going to get an estimated student index.
hmm
And what that is that it's a number. It's a very important number for you to keep because all of your validation is going to come through that student index number that they're going to give you. So you know how before you had to have the PIN number,
Right, right.
they're going to give you what is called a student index number. And that is what they want everything to be validated and verified by.
I wonder what's the difference between the two.
Because this is going to give you the eligibility, everything. When you apply, before you used to have to wait to know whether you're eligible and all that. All of this
Mhm.
is immediately coming. So there's not a wait. Once they assign you, once they do all of your stuff is supposed to be immediately coming. And after you get your student index number, then you're gonna get a message about what to expect and what they want you to do next.
That's pretty good because there are students who apply for financial aid, but then they don't get it, or they're waiting for it to process,
And they
and
don't
then
know what
the
happened.
class has already started. Now they'll know immediately.
They're gonna immediately know what they're gonna get the follow-up email. It's
Mhm.
gonna immediately tell them what to expect. It's gonna immediately give them the additional information. It's gonna tell them what we need from you next. Immediately, it's coming to you immediately. So financial aid is a long application process.
Yes, it is.
They cut that down to about 18 questions.
Okay, that's good,
That's
especially for
great.
students who there's students who don't want to actually go through the college experience because they don't want to fill out the application or the financial aid information. So if you can make it easier for them,
Yes,
that's really good.
yeah, yeah. So that is drastically affecting them. So the interface for that is only going to um, affect 7 states, which you got New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Mississippi, Iowa, Minnesota, and New Jersey. Those states does participate with the API, which allows students to have submitted FAFSA online electronic transfer data and the application of a state. So certain states is going to have additional rules, and those 7 states are going to be the ones with the additional rules.
Okay.
If you're
And
not in one of those states,
Florida's not one of them.
no. If you're not in one of those states, then you should expect the process we just talked about to be
Right.
your outcome.
Okay.
And that's an easier outcome, that's an easier process, but it is very big right now and because they're trying to say they want more students to be eligible for college and they wanted an easier transition for them to be able to apply and get what they need.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So for them that's really good.
Hmm.
So let's talk about alimony.
Oh
Alimony is
boy.
a big thing that
Oh
those laws have drastically changed,
okay.
which means that there is no more mandated alimony in the state of Florida like it used to be,
Hmm.
and that at one point the person who gave the alimony could put it on their taxes as a deduction, and the
Hmm.
person that received it had to put it on a tax return as income.
As income. Right.
No longer, on neither way, no longer. Unless you were already into the alimony system prior to the new law change was July 1st, 2023. If you already had alimony prior to that, then
Hmm.
you're still under the old way. But anything after that no longer has to report on a taxes and can no longer take the deduction on a tax return. So you can't do alimony is just gonna be gone. And for Florida, and then they have to deal with their state on how long that happens because every state has its own laws when it relates to alimony. But for Florida itself, we don't have that anymore. So they would have to deal with their state to see what their state laws say when it comes to their state alimony.
Right.
Let's skip around. Let's try the new home energy credit.
Good one, especially with that. I just got a thermostat.
So this credit is big, and this credit is more helpful to you, the taxpayer. So before they always told you buy this washer, you buy this dryer, it was deductible, da 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 da
Yeah.
da. They had you
Yeah.
convinced that it was 100% deductible. Well, it's not, and it still is not 100% deductible. But the percentage, let's say, for example, last year or this year it was 2%. This year it's going up to 30%. So you're at least going to get a 30% reduction. You're going to get a 30% credit. That's
Okay.
correct. You're going to get a 30% credit on whatever you put on. Now, there's also threshold amounts. So don't think just because you got a whole lot to deduct that you'll be getting full benefit. You will not. It is a threshold amount. So we have to, so it's 30%. It was 26%. Now it's up to 36%. And that is going to be in effect until 2032. That is for wind, solar, biomass, trash, and landfill gas, hydropower, marine. So it's quite a few things they added that was not there before.
Mm-hmm.
You got a better on your windows and door installations this
Yeah.
time. They have those in there now. They have personal property, which that was hard to get credit for before. But your windows and doors and new installations, those things now is a part of your home energy credit thing now. So that will help a lot of people out with that. But you also have to keep up with the fact that there is a limit of how much you can get. Like $1,200 a year is what you can get credit for. So you pay that 10,000. Do not look for that 10,000. It's
Okay.
only so much a year. Now, if
So
you
what's
split
that? What's
that
that amount?
1,200.
Okay, because I know more people, especially in Florida, are doing the solar on their roofs, solar panels, and now the Tesla batteries.
Yeah, that's another one. So let's say your windows. The
Mm-hmm.
max you could get on that is $600. Um, the exterior window skylights and installation, the HVAC and home energy audit. Even if you have an audit done on your house, you can get $150 on the audit. So
Okay.
everything has a limit, even though they're giving you the credit and up to 30% of it. That is not going to be a whole lot of money when you just spent $10,000. So if
Yeah.
you're going to be looking for a large number that you're not going to get, you're going to get a small number, which is up to that 1,200. So if you split those things in half, spread them out over so many years, every year you could get the $1,200,
Right.
but you just can't get that large number one time.
Okay.
So that's for people to really know, like you say, the solar and all of those different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's changed drastically is the healthcare, the marketplace insurance. You know how you had to have a certain amount of income in order to qualify,
Right.
and anything over that income you no longer qualify. Well, they're waiving that and they're taking that off. So you had to be under the poverty level to truly qualify with no money. Now you could be at least 400% over the threshold and still qualify.
Okay.
Yeah. So that poverty
And I
level
think
thing.
that's good because there are a lot of people who, yeah, they're making it, but they still didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
They still weren't insured. And with
Yeah.
health insurance, which it should be a basic that again, that should be something that everybody has just because you're a citizen.
Yeah. So they're changing that to make more people eligible and to qualify for the health care as well, based on
Right.
the new rule of you could be at least 400% over the level now and still qualify.
Mm.
So that's gonna be kind of helpful to me. That's gonna help a lot of people out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, Tax laws for next year. We got a lot, but let's see what is going to be the main ones that will. I mean, we talked about some of them. So, who, friends, where to start at?
I'm
Um,
telling you, I know you got to come back because it was too much coming down the pipe at the same time. And again, I like last year when they were gonna do the whole thing with the digital currency, with the
oh yeah,
apps and all of that, and then they had to hold back.
yeah.
It's too much, and I don't think they're ready to keep up with what's happening.
And I think that's why they set the cash up and all that stuff. They took all that off the table again because the questions that is had by that they weren't prepared for the questions. I don't think, and I don't think they had a valid answer for it because they couldn't determine how to separate business from personal because
Yep,
everybody used Cash App to send their grandkids a dollar,
yep,
and then
yep.
you
That's
don't you
that's
shouldn't
how
have
it
to put that
started.
income. Yeah, you
Right.
shouldn't have to be claiming that as income when that's not what you really did. So
Correct.
that's why they're putting the stuff in place to allow you to be able to separate the two, so you only be able to claim the part you gotta claim. Um, One big thing is that the ERC, which is when these companies was doing and getting this $25,000 per employee just to employee retention credit,
Mm-hmm.
that is up under a huge audit because they don't. It was like the PPP, in my opinion. They didn't set enough rules to it in the beginning,
Right.
so a lot of fraud happened, and now they're auditing every claim that comes through.
Wow.
But
So
they
let's say you
allow you.
you didn't have employees, but you still filed
Yes,
for it because it was
yes,
just you.
yes.
You might be liable to pay that
You are
money back.
going to be liable to pay that back. So because they realize there was so much fraud to it, they'll stop paying it and just gonna audit everybody and make you prove it. Now, because they know it's a lot of fraud, they are now why they froze it is because they're setting up to allow you to withdraw your claim.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, and
It doesn't
I
mean
agree to that because there are people who are not clear on what it was, or they were given false information.
yes. Well, they may not have been clear, but they went to somebody who did it for them. So all these
Correct.
companies who
Correct.
televise that they could do it for you, I wouldn't touch it and I wouldn't do it for anybody
Yeah.
because I knew it was too. Because one of the rules was the owner of the company could not benefit from that 25 grand. Only employee retention. So if you work for me, I could have got it on you, and I had to have at least 3 employees. So there were clear rules, but
Mm-hmm.
because fraud is going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody put a fraud network in place to say they figured everybody gonna be honest. Well, nobody was honest with PPP either. So why did you think they was gonna be honest with it? So
Yeah.
now they are freezing all of that, and they are giving. Now they're setting up a thing for you to be able to withdraw. Doesn't mean that you still won't get in some trouble, but they won't be done paid you no money, so it's gonna make it a little bit easier on you. So they are now putting things in place because of the fraudulent level that has happened. And there are still people still trying to apply for it. And people call me all the time. Can you help me? No, I can't help you apply for that
Nope.
because you probably don't have any of what you're supposed to have anyway. You don't have the documents. And people out there, these companies are making up these documents for you because
Yep.
they're getting a large percent of that money.
Yep.
But when it's time to pay it back, you are the only person that can and will be responsible to pay back, not the company that you actually paid the money to help you.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so that's harmful to you, but that's a big thing that's out there right now too. And these people they're gonna have to pay this money back, but
Wow.
nobody has the money.
And that's the problem. The problem
Nobody
is
has.
they got it, but then it's gone. So now you don't have it. So how you gonna pay something back that you don't have?
Yeah, yeah. That's the
They
big
they
problem.
they they applied for it because they needed it.
They applied for it. In some cases, they needed it, but you know you wasn't eligible for it. You shouldn't apply for it. Some
Yeah.
people was misled and said you did qualify when they really didn't because the company that did the work for you just wanted their percentage of the money.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's a percentage all the way around. And greed
And
did the rest
greed is
of it.
always there.
Greed is always the one that's gonna
Yeah.
get you. So and not telling them people the truth when they realize how many claims came in for that and fuel and the fuel the energy fuel credit, that's another big fraud they got going. So that's one of those that if some of these credits that issue out the big money,
Mm-hmm.
now they're all up on the investigation because they realize a lot of fraud happened with those big credits. They
That's
were
crazy.
good for somebody, but
Right.
not everybody who applied for them
Right.
was eligible for it. So yeah, that was big. So let's
We're
see
gonna get one more.
one more. Let's go real quick. The business use of the home.
And before you do that, we gotta do one more because we gotta bring you back. I
Y'all just have to
don't
tell me
even think you
when.
even hit half of the list.
No, we didn't hit half of the list because some
So
of the stuff is
we gotta bring you back. Lisa had some technical difficulties. So
okay.
we gotta bring you back for this other piece because I know that the information you're providing is helping somebody.
Yeah, yeah. So on the back, we'll go back over the VOI. And that would be one of the things we should have more information on by then. Um, and then people got to understand this business use of the home real quick. Everybody thinks just because you got that office in your house that it's something for you to be able to do. You got to be careful with that. That's going to be a number one audit.
Okay, so
So this,
you can't deduct anymore if you have a if you're
you
using
can,
your room as
you,
a
you
office.
can, you can deduct, but is that just a room for business? So they put a few more criteria to that. If there's if you do anything else in that room, it can make it null and void where you can't deduct because there's direct and indirect expenses that go to business use of the home. You need the square footage of the house, you need the square footage of that room.
Correct.
But when you really look at that form, it's on the top of it, it really was geared for daycare, not for office use.
Oh wow.
Tell them to go
Okay.
back and really look at the form. That's what it really was geared for initially. So everybody went home to work and everybody want all these expenses. And yes, you can do that, but be careful on what amount of what you're putting on there. Because at some point you're gonna have to prove it. And because it's personal space, which is your personal house, and
Right.
you're doing business out of it, now you got a two-part entity.
Wow. Wow. But there are people who legitimately,
Yeah,
this is my room just for work. And then they walk out and the rest of the house is for them to live in. But they have a space, they have a desk, they have a computer. I mean,
but
that's how I use my space.
how many people really have that space that they do nothing else but they're working there?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people really do that? Home
I'm
office is
not
different.
sure because the thing is that it's not just the room, because if you have your desk in the room, that's your space, that's your work area. But that room still could be used, like you said. Somebody there's a bed in the room. There's some clothes or whatever. So they a closet, of course, they're using that space. But really, the main intent is the office.
But how much of that room do you get to put on the tax return as office space when you only have this one square where your desk is?
So
Because
the
then
rest of
is
the
the rest
house
of
is
the
off
room.
limits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't write off 2 feet.
I don't know about that one on TV. Let me tell you, because if you're a corporation, you have a building, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that's the whole building is considered a business, but there are a lot of things that come in and out of there that's not business focused for that business. I know
but
the
they're
main
not.
intent is the business, but there's still a lot of things happening in there that's not business related.
But
But
the
they put
difference,
everything on the taxes.
right? But the difference between them and your house is that it's a building, so
Mhm.
the rent, the light bill, all of that gets to be 100% because it's the building. No one cares whatever happens in that building because what they're writing off is legitimate to that building,
To
and
that
they
building.
do not sleep in that building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thin line. That's where you really cross the line. Now, if you have that one room in your house
Mhm.
that you really got that work computer, your phone, your everything. And when you clock out at 5 o'clock, you close that door
Right.
and you don't go back in there at 8 o'clock in the morning when it's time you to go back to work.
Right.
That's your office space.
Okay, so it's hard because, and then there are people who do that. I have somebody who I know changed out their garage
That's
into a
right.
office space. The whole garage is their office. They clock in, they clock out like a regular job.
Right.
But in the era of I'm going to work from home, where really it's not a desk, it's the laptop, but you're in the space. So I'm in my living room, but really I'm working in my living room. I'm working from home.
That's where you get a thin line.
Ah,
That's
that's
where you get that's where you get room for error.
correct. Correct. And that's why I brought it up.
You get room for error right there because that laptop can go to the bathroom. It can go
Correct.
to the
Everywhere around the
kitchen.
house. Because
It can sit on the
wherever I go,
patio.
I'm working.
So do I get all of those rooms as my office?
Correct. Correct.
No. Office is a designated place, a designated space.
Right.
That's what office really says.
Wow. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So you got a lot of checks and balances right there to say, do
Yeah.
I want to do that? Now
Correct.
I got a room that is used for multiple things because it's my den.
Right.
And
Right.
during the eight
Right.
hours, it's my den.
Right.
After hours, it's not my den.
Right.
Again, that's a thin line because that's a it's multiple use space.
Right.
Now I get off at 5 o'clock, I go make me a sandwich, and I go back to that den and eat.
Right.
Did I just kill my office space deduction because I ate in my workplace? Because it's also my private property and my personal space?
You hitting all the points that I'm thinking about. Like, come on. Because if I'm at the job, quote unquote, in the building, I could eat at the desk.
That's
So
right.
you're saying I can't, if I'm in my own house and this is my office area, I can't eat at the desk because now it's
Personal space and business space, you just converted it when you ate that sandwich, didn't you?
correct. I don't know about that one, Auntie V.
See?
That's tough. That's
But
tough.
that makes a lot of people who want to do the business use of the home, they don't get a whole lot of credit for it anyway. But they
Right.
want to do it and take all of these deductions. It's not always beneficial to you to open up a can of worms when you know you're not following the rules.
Right. You might as well leave it alone.
Leave them $2 right there because that's all it's gonna give you.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you a whole lot of money. I think it's like 2%. It's not a great big amount of money anyway.
Right.
So some of that stuff you want to leave where it is.
Mm.
Unless you got an accountant who know how to finagle better numbers than that, hey,
That's on you.
that's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So y'all decide when it's the next time. Like I said,
Yeah. We
we
gonna
want information on the BOI stuff to make sure that
listen. This
everybody is clear.
I got to get that one because again, if it's not clear, people are then put in a. There are a lot of people that are struggling now. They're trying to set something up, trying to develop something for their families and whatnot, friends. This could put them behind even.
Yeah,
I mean, $500 a day. Yeah, some
this
of these
could put you
businesses
behind the
don't
eight
even
ball.
make that in 2 months, in a
Yeah,
month.
yeah, yeah.
So you to me you're hurting the people that you're trying to develop, and people say it all the time. The backbone of America is small businesses.
That's right.
So if you take away the small business, listen, this is Kitchen Talk, CTC, Conversations That Cook. Auntie V definitely cooked up a conversation tonight. Please follow us on all social media platforms. We will have Auntie V back to provide us with more valuable information. I call them nuggets, these nuggets, to really put us in the best position to make our tax year better than last year. Auntie V, I'm going to give you the last word because it was just that good.
I don't have a last word. I don't have a last
You
word.
bought it tonight.
My
You bought
last
it
word would
tonight.
be prepared, be aware, and be alert. Be knowledgeable of what you are filing, what you're doing, and don't take another person's word for your tax life. You need to know what that looks like.
Kitchen Talk, Conversations That Cook. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, same conversations. Hot. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too.